Hello everyone and welcome to the GL Assessment Year 5 Block 5 Lesson 6 Non-Verbal Reasoning Homework Review. My name is Luke Lloyd. Hopefully you're in the right place. Let's just check by flashing up the homework sheets. So what will we be going through today? Well, we're going to go through the week 3 homework that matches with Lesson 6, and that's the non-verbal reasoning, and it's tests 7, 8, 9, 16 and 17, all from this book here, the Non-Verbal Reasoning Quick Practice Test Book. Now what we'll be doing is going through in order 7, 8, 9, 16, 17, going through, highlighting anything that's important, and just sort of reading out the explanations to you guys. So hopefully you're ready to follow along. So we will start with test 7, and let's go now. So questions 1, 2, and 3. The answers are C, D, and B. And the reasoning, I should have just mentioned, these are all working out the similarity. So we're finding the thing that links the three shapes and working out which one joins it. So let me give you an example. So for question 1, each figure on the left consists of a rectangle with a small bold shape and 3 fine lines, and a small square in it with diagonal shading. Small squares. So we need to have each of those cases, and the only one that matches us in that instance is C. For question 2, each figure on the left should have 2 identical shapes touching at the corners, and the lower shape needs to be on the left of the upper shape. And one final thing, we need to always make sure one side is bolded. So in this case, one side on all the 4 corners is bolded. Question 3, each figure on the left consists of an irregular hexagon. So it's a 6-sided shape, but it's not regular, which means the sides are not all the same length. And there needs to be a black dot in one corner and a white dot that's halfway along a side. So the black dot needs to be on the corner, and the white dot needs to be halfway down the length. Right, 4, 5, and 6. The answers are D, A, and A. Let's go through the patterns. For question 4, each figure on the left consists of a circle with one bold line, a fine line with dots, and 2 other different lines, dividing it into eighths. The bold line and the fine line need to be perpendicular to one another. So you have your bold line, your fine line, bold line, fine line, bold line, fine line, and then the other 2 can just be anything. So in this case, bold line and fine line also has the 2 dots. And the 2 dots are always on the end of the fine line. So that's clarifying. For number 5, each figure on the left consists of a regular polygon with small circles, triangles, and squares overlapping the edge. The area where the triangle and the circle overlap with the polygon must be black, so the inside shaded part must be black, and the outer part of the small square, sorry, I should have said that the outside of the small square is black in all instances, but then for the circle and the triangle, the inside should be shaded black for all of them. And that's your pattern. And for number 6, each figure on the left consists of a rectangle divided into equal sections, with a small square jutting out to the right connected by a short line. At the base of the rectangle, there are horizontal lines equal to half the number of sections. So if it's been divided into 4, you need to have 4 lines divided into 5, 5 lines, 6, and so on. It's hopefully a little clearer on your version rather than my photocopy. But in this case, the reason it's A is because we have 2 sections, so 2 lines. Sorry, half the number of sections. So in this case, it's 2 sections, so it's 1 line. That makes more sense. So it's slightly less clear on these, but it's always half the number of sections it's divided to is equal to the number of lines. Let's change colour. Right, from 7 and 8, question 7 is B, and question 8 is E. And for question 8, each figure on the left has a square with 2 semicircles. Also, that's question 8. We need question 7 still. So question 7, each figure on the left consists of 3 identical bracket shapes, so they have to be the same in each case, with a downward pointing arrow on the left and an upward pointing arrow on the right. So it's always down, up, down, up. The type of arrow doesn't matter as long as they are the same in each case. Each figure also needs to have one small black dot. So the answer is B. Down on the left, up on the right, all the same, one dot. Now question 8, this is where we've got 3 squares, each with 2 semicircles. You always have the black semicircle on the inside, the white semicircle on the outside, and an arrow pointing inwards. The arrow will also always be opposite the black semicircle. Question 9 is D. And question 10 is also D. And for question 9, you've got a dome shape with one curved side and a cross-hatching pattern. And there's always going to be one black stripe within it at the base. And this shading has to be different to the shading inside. The square will never touch the stripe at the bottom, so it's always somewhere inside. So in this case, the answer is D, because it's the only one with the black stripe and the black square. Question 10. Each ring on the left consists of a triangle with an identical smaller triangle next to it. So the triangles just have to match, they have to be the same style. And this is both in orientation as well as style. So we've got here 2 right angle triangles pointing in the same direction. Right, test 8. So for test 8, we're doing codes. And each ring on the left has a code next to it. Decide how the code and the letters match the shapes. Look at the shape on the right to work out the code, and then circle the one that matches. So it'll be, again, we're looking for some form of commonality. So let's go through it. So for test 1, the answer is D. In test 2, the answer is E. Let's go through and talk about it. So the first letter signifies the upper section of the, the first letter signifies the position of the black corner, so which side it's in. And the second letter signifies the position of the line. So in this case, we want the code for top left, which is Y, and the line to be in this position, which is X. So YX. For question 2, the first letter signifies where the upper section of the brickwork is, and the lower section signifies the lower brickwork. So in this case, we want this style of brickwork, which is the P, and we want this style of brickwork, which is the C. So PC. Right, 3 and 4. The answers are A and B. So in this case, our first letter signifies the position of the black rectangle, so being the top right-hand side, so that's A. The second letter signifies the number of scallops, the bumps. So in this case, we want O, it's this one. And the third letter signifies the direction of the arrow. It's pointing up or down. In this case, it's pointing down, so we want G. So AOG. Again, it's going through and working them out. Question 4. The first letter signifies the colour of the circle. So in this case, we would like the I. The second letter signifies the shading within the square. So we want J. And the third letter signifies the number of loops on the wavy line. So how many loop-the-loops does it do? In this case, it's 4, which is Y. So I, J, Y. Right, questions 5 and 6, we want A and E. Question 5, the first letter signifies the type of square. So in this case, we want the N square. And the second letter signifies the type of line. So in this case, we want P. So the answer NP. Question 6, the first letter signifies the number of segments that have been coloured in. So in this case, we want 2 segments coloured in. So it's B. And the third letter signifies the shape. In this case, we want the rectangle. So it's BH. Questions 7 and 8. So 7 is B. 8 is E. For question 7, the first letter signifies the shading of the circles. So in this case, we want black, white, black, but with the blacks on top, so it's going to be K. And the second letter signifies the type of polygon. So in this case, it's a pentagon, so it's Y, KY. Question 8, the first letter is the position of the diamond, so where it is. And then the second letter is the shading of the diamond, in which case we want the black shading. And then the third letter is the pattern of the square. So we want this Q, we want this shading for S, we want the position to be in the middle, so N. So we should have NSQ. NSQ, there we go. Question 9, the first letter signifies the type of shading. And then the second letter, I should say which one it is. So 9 is C, and 10 is B. sorry, to go back to 9. So the first letter is type of shading, which is to say blank shading, so that's P. And then the second letter signifies whether the shapes are the same shape or not. So we've got identical shapes for an L and different shapes on the external for I. So if we look, same, different, same. So that's how we do. So L means the same shape as the interior, I means different. Question 10. The first letter signifies the position of the upper square. The second letter signifies the position of the lower rectangle. So in this case, we want the leftmost square, so that's Z, and we want the rightmost rectangle, which is O, so ZO. Whew, got through it. Right, guys, again, with those, they're not the easiest in the world, but it's worth work. You've just got to work out which pattern is telling you what, and that's often done by matching. So, for example, you'd find two that are in a similar place, or you'd work out by elimination, and then go back to your square that's given and use that to say, okay, well, I want this, so I'm going to go back to Z. I want this, I'm going to go back to O. I recommend that's the way of doing it. Right, next up is test 9. So for test 9, you need to find the similarity of the shapes in the oval, and then again, find out the one that is most similar. Much the same as we did before. Again, I'll go through, I'll read out the answers and give you reasons. So question 1 is A, 2 is D, 3 is E. And the reasons for question 1, each figure in the oval consists of a rectangle containing small black shapes and 3 parallel lines that are spaced in the same amount. So we need to have a rectangle with the 3 black lines, small black shapes, and all spaced evenly. So the answer is A. It's the only one that's got 3 lines. And the black shapes. Question 2. Each figure in the oval consists of a square with 2 rounded corners containing 3 lines. So you have to have 2 of the corners are rounded, and it needs to contain 3 lines. There also needs to be 1 black dot outside the square. So it's eliminating based on those things. Question 3. Each figure in the oval consists of a leaf shape with smaller shapes inside. There is an arrow pointing to the widest part of the shape. So the point at which is the greatest width, so pointing towards it, and at the point that's widest. Question 4 and 5. Question 4 is B, and 5 is A. So for question 4, the reasoning is, each figure within the oval consists of a square with little scallops on the outside, and short parallel lines on the outside, and dots and shading on the inside. The number of dots plus the number of parallel lines is equal to the number of scallops. So for example, we've got 5 scallops, which are these little bumps, and then we've got 2 dots and 3 lines, making 5 in total. So that's the pattern. For question 5, each figure in the oval consists of a shape with one more side than the larger shape containing it. So if you've got a 5-sided shape on the outside, you have a 6-sided shape on the inside. A 3-sided on the outside, a 4-sided on the inside. The larger shape has one double line inside it and one dashed line outside of it. So in this case, we've got a hexagon, which is 6 sides, so we need a 7-sided shape inside. We've got one line on the inside and a dotted line on the outside. 6, 7, and 8. So for question 6, the answer is B. 7, the answer is B. And 8, the answer is D. And if we go through, question 6, each figure in an oval consists of a curved arrow. First off, with a number of teardrops on it and the same number of lines underneath. So 1 teardrop, 1 line, 2 teardrops, 3 lines, 3 and 3. Question 7. The figure in the oval consists of a circle with a cross that has only 1 line of symmetry. So the cross can only be, in this case, there's your line of symmetry, there's your line of symmetry, there's your line of symmetry. Question 8. Each figure in the oval consists of a shape made of 12 edges with 1 line of symmetry. Therefore, we need to find one that also has 12 edges and only 1 line of symmetry, which is this one. And there's that line of symmetry again down the middle. Tough one, that last one. Involves counting and symmetry. Numbers and symmetry, which are two of the harder ones to spot, I think. Question 9, the answer is C, and 10 is A. So each figure in the oval consists of 3 different shapes. The small black shape overlaps the largest shape, and the white shape touches it at a corner. So each figure in the oval consists of 3 different shapes, and the black shape must be touching the largest shape, and the white shape must match the corner. Question 10. Each figure in the oval consists of a crescent with, if you rotate it round identically, a small black triangle at the bottom and a bottom left, and a small bold square at the top right. So if we twisted them so that the moon was all facing this direction, you would always have the triangle on this side and the square down here. Which means our answer is A. Last 2 questions. Question 11 is D, and question 12 is B. Question D. Each figure in the oval consists of a shape with 1 curved side and 1 bold straight side with 2 small dots that are adjacent to it. So you must have the dots next to the bold line and only 1 curved edge, which is D. So there's my curved, and there's my bold line with the 2 dots. And last question, question 12. Each figure in the oval consists of an irregular pentagon touching the corner of a square. The square has a diagonal line from bottom left to top right. So it's always touching at a corner. It always must be in this direction, which eliminates quite a few of them. And of course, it must be a pentagon, meaning 5-sided shape, if it is a bit irregular. Right, guys, well done. Let's get ready for question 16. Right, guys, so 16 and 17 are actually more coding and find the most similar. So we'll run through them together now. Question 16, or sorry, test 16 is all about finding the most similar. So let's go through and do the answers. We've got 1 and 2, so 1 is D, and 2 is E. And each figure on the left has 2 squares, one that is larger than the other. There is a diagonal stripe from top right to bottom left in the overlapping area, which is always a square. Parallel with the large square, there is another line. So the large square has got another line, and the overlap must be, or the shading between the overlap must be diagonal. Question 2. Each figure consists of 2 parallel curved lines with a short, bold, perpendicular line, like this, and 2 differently shaded circles below. The bold perpendicular line is always at the top. That's why it's E. For 3 and 4, so we've got C and A. So for question 3, each figure on the left consists of a vase shape containing 2 different smaller shapes and a line. Each figure has 1 line of symmetry. So you have to have 2 different shapes, and it has to be symmetrical down one of the directions. For question 4, each figure on the left has 3 dots and 3 lines. The dots on each line are all identical, so you have to be consistent. So all black or all white. Question 5, the answer is B. Question 6, the answer is C. And question 7, the answer is B. So let's go through. Question 5, each figure on the left consists of a pentagon divided into 3 unequal sections, and they have to all be shaded differently. Question 6, each figure on the left consists of an arrow pointing clockwise, so in this direction. It needs to have a black dot at the other end, so like this. So the arrow must be clockwise, and it needs a black dot on the end. So this all facing the same direction. Question 7. Each figure on the left contains of a small circle, square, and rectangle with an arrow pointing away from the shape that's shaded in black. So whichever one is shaded black, the arrow points in the opposite direction. B in this case. Right, question 8, 9, and 10. So we've got question 8 is B, 9 is B, and 10 is C. The reasoning for question 8. Each figure on the left consists of a sector of a circle. So a sector is like a pizza slice, with 1 black triangle on the outside. Inside the sector, opposite the black triangle is a fine line, and on the same side as the black triangle, there is a black dot inside the sector. Let's go through that. So inside the sector, opposite the triangle, is a fine line. So if the triangle's on this side, the fine line's on that side. The triangle on this side, fine line on that side. And on the same side as the black triangle, there's a black dot on the outside. So here and here, here and here. And finally, there's always one dot on the outside of the sector. And it's on the same side as the fine line. So these two match as well. Good question, number 8. Question 9. Each figure is divided into a semicircle divided in two. It has to be by a bold line. There's a small white circle inside the semicircle on one side and 6 scallops outside the semicircle on the other. So that is you have 6 and 1. So that means A is gone. And so that one's gone, that one's gone, and that one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That means C's gone as well. Question 10. Each figure on the left contains a quadrilateral and an oval inside of a large shape. Each shape must be shaded differently. So you have to have different shading each time, which is the only one that gives us C. That's it. All right, you're doing really, really well. Test 17, let's just run through it together. Nearly there. Again, this is coding. I'll just go through and tell you what each of the codes means and the answers, of course. So we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we've got B, B, A, and E. And let's just go through the coding. So for 1, the upper letter signifies the shading, and the lower letter signifies the orientation, the rotation of the parallelogram. For question 2, the upper letter signifies the shape of the shield, and the lower letter signifies the number of dots, or the rotation of the dots inside. Question 3, the upper letter signifies the number of lines, and the lower letter is the orientation, the direction of the lines, horizontal or vertical. Question 4, the upper letter signifies the colour of the small dots. The lower letter signifies the orientation, the direction of the bold line, be it diagonal, horizontal or vertical. 5, 6, 7, and 8. So question 5 is C. 6 is A. 7 is E. And 8 is D. So question 5, the upper letter signifies the line thickness. The lower letter signifies the type of shape. So you've either got both thin, one thick, or both thick, both bold. And then which shape. Question 6, the upper letter signifies the number of petals, the number of little bumps on my shape. The lower letter signifies the placement of the flower, be it in which quadrant. Question 7, the upper letter signifies the number of shaded sections, so 1, 2, or 3. And the lower letter signifies the number of sections the figure has been divided into. So it's been divided into, in this case, 6s, which is J. Question 8, the upper letter signifies the shading of the heart, and the lower letter signifies the position of the heart. So it's that classic, one is the shading, one is position. It's very common. Right, last two, 9 and 10. 9 is A, and 10 is D. Let's just talk about why. So in this case, the upper letter is the shading of the central shape, and the lower letter is whether the shapes are identical or different. So we've had this one before again, whether the shape on the inside matches the shape on the outside or not. Question 10, last one, well done guys. The upper letter signifies the small black shape, what type of shape it is, and then the lower letter signifies the number of sides of the large shape. So in this case we want a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-sided shape with the circle. So we want KA, which we have. There you go, in D. Right guys, really well done. So that's us finished the homework. Give yourself some scores. Huge pat on the back if you did brilliantly. Again, remember guys, always there are answers at the back of the book that you can use to help yourselves out. So give yourself a score out of 10, all your scores. If you've got anything amazing, don't forget to come and tell us how you did in the homeworks in the live lessons. If you do have any questions as well, please don't forget that, of course, you are more than welcome to come to any of the live sessions at the end. We'll have a Q&A and you can ask any of the questions from the homework or any questions that we can help you with at any of our Q&As. And they'll always, so any live session, you're more than welcome to come to. And again, if you're not sure when the live sessions are, if you go onto the Facebook Live and have a look at the photos section, you'll be able to find the most up-to-date timetable there. Right, everyone, thank you so much for attending. I hope it was useful. Any questions, please don't hesitate to stop by. All the best. Well done, guys. Bye-bye.